Peppa Pig at the zoo. Madame Gazelle is taking Peppa and her friends to the zoo for the day. Remember, children, today we will be meeting wild animals, she says. Ooh, cry the children. Don't worry, says Madame Gazelle. The wild animals will be safely behind fences. Roar! Ah! A lion has escaped! Cries Madame Gazelle. Hello, I'm Mr. Lion, the zookeeper. You've picked a good time to visit, says Mr. Lion. It's feeding time. Wow. Which animals live here? Asked Susie Sheep. They move very slowly and live to be very old, says Madame Gazelle. Not all animals eat vegetables, says Madame Gazelle. That's right, Madame Gazelle, says Mr. Lion, grinning. Yes, well, says Madame Gazelle, who lives here? Hello, says Mrs. Crocodile. I'm the keeper in charge of this part of the zoo. Penguins, they eat fish. Ah, a crocodile, cries Madame Gazelle. Look, there's my daddy. He's a keeper at the zoo too, cries Gerald Giraffe. Hello, says Mr. Giraffe. Can you guess what animals I look after? They fly and get all their food from flowers. What are they? asked Peppa. Look carefully at the flowers, says Mr. Giraffe. Flutter, flutter, flutter. Ooh, pretty butterflies, say the children. Thank you for showing us around the zoo, says Madame Gazelle. Hooray! All this talk about food has made me hungry. Me too, laughs Mr. Lion. It's our feeding time now. What's for lunch today, Mr. Lion? Asked Mrs. Crocodile. Can you guess? Roars Mr. Lion. Little picnics in boxes. Yummy! Says Peppa. The end. Peppa Pig Bicycle Race. It is a lovely sunny day. Peppa and George are going out for a ride. Peppa rings her bell. Ding, ding. Come on, George, she says. Follow me. Peppa is riding her bicycle. George is riding his tricycle. Hurry up, George, calls Peppa. You're going so slowly, says George. Peppa sees her friends, Danny Dog, Susie Sheep, and Rebecca Rabbit. They are riding their bicycles too. Danny points down the hill. Let's have a race to the bottom, he says. Danny, Susie, and Rebecca ride very fast. Peppa rides quite fast. George does not ride very fast at all. George is riding a baby bike, snorts Peppa. So are you, says Danny. You've still got stabilizers. Peppa looks down at her bike. It is the only one with stabilizers on it. Let's ride up the hill again, says Danny. No, says Peppa. I think I'll stay here. Peppa asks Daddy Pig to take her stabilizers off. Do you think you can ride without them? He says. I can do it, Peppa nods. I can. She gets on her bicycle and starts pedalling. Uh-oh, Peppa falls onto the grass. Riding without stabilizers is hard. George giggles. It is not funny. Peppa frowns. Daddy Pig helps Peppa to get back on her bicycle. Let's try again, he says. Ready, steady, go. Don't let go of me, Daddy, says Peppa. Don't worry, says Daddy Pig. I've got you. Peppa pedals faster and faster. You're doing really well, shouts Daddy Pig. Peppa looks round. Daddy Pig has let go. Ho ho, he cries. You're cycling on your own. Peppa can ride on her own without stabilizers.
Wow!
She goes to find her friends. Look at me, shouts Peppa. I can ride my bike properly. Danny, Susie and Rebecca all cheer. Hooray!
Hooray!
Come on, says Peppa. Let's race down the hill again. Danny, Susie and Rebecca ring their bells. Peppa loves riding her bicycle. Everyone loves riding bicycles. The end. Peppa Pig, A Trip to the Moon. It is a lovely sunny day, and George and his friend Edmund are playing with their space toys in the garden. Oh dear, Edmund's space toy has landed on Peppa's head. She is not happy. Are you going to the moon, boys? Says Daddy Pig. Moon, says George. It's just boring space stuff for babies, Daddy, says Peppa. It's not real. Space is real, Peppa, replies Daddy Pig. Mummy Pig tells everyone there is a show at the museum that is all about the moon.
Wow!
That sounds fun. Shall we go and see it? Asks Daddy Pig.
Hooray!
George and Edmund laugh. They want to see the show. At the museum, they all buy tickets. Are we really going to the moon? Peppa asks. No, Peppa, it's just pretend, Miss Rabbit tells her. Mr. Rabbit is a tour guide. This way for our trip to the moon, he calls, leading them inside. Prepare for takeoff. When they are all seated in the rocket, a voice booms, Blast off! We live on a planet. Does anyone know what it's called? Mr. Rabbit asks. Earth, Daddy Pig guesses. That's right, Mr. Rabbit smiles. And what is the moon made of? Mr. Rabbit wants to know next. The moon is made of cheese, of course, Daddy Pig jokes. But Mr. Rabbit doesn't find it very funny. No, the moon is made of rock. This is a serious tour, so no jokes, please. It is pretend, though, isn't it? Peppa asks. Yes, Peppa. If it was the real moon, you could jump over my head, Mr. Rabbit tells her. Gravity is what keeps us on the ground, and it is weaker on the moon, so you can jump higher.
Wow!
Some big rubber bands drop down and Mr. Rabbit straps everyone in. Peppa and the others feel like they are jumping on the moon. It is so much fun. Miss Rabbit tells them to say, Moon cheese, as she takes a picture. It is the end of the tour, so Miss Rabbit takes everyone to the moon shop. How about some real moon cheese? says Miss Rabbit. How much is it? asked Daddy Pig. £5, please, says Miss Rabbit. £5? snorts Daddy Pig. It's all for a good cause, says Miss Rabbit. I like the moon now because it is very interesting, says Peppa, holding a picture of everybody bouncing on the moon. And very tasty, laughs Daddy Pig, eating his yummy moon cheese. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's super noisy sound book. It is a very rainy day. Peppa and George are in their house. We are going to have a quiet day inside, says Mummy Pig. Aww, sighs Peppa and George, disappointed. Peppa and George love going outside to play. Ho ho. Cheer up, you two, smiles Daddy Pig. You can help me mend the kitchen cupboard. Kitchen cupboards are boring, says Peppa. I don't like the rain, giggles George. Just then, the telephone rings. It's Mrs. Rabbit, Rebecca Rabbit's mummy. Can Rebecca and Richard come to play? She asks. Of course, says Mummy Pig. Yippee! Cheers Peppa. Rebecca and Richard Rabbit arrive. Richard has brought his brand new toy car. Vroom, vroom, squeaks Richard. And George has his toy, Mr. Dinosaur. Dinosaur! growls George. Peppa and George get out their musical toys and make lots and lots of noise. Laughs Peppa, very proud of herself. Hooray! Cheer Richard and Rebecca. Now Susie Sheep has arrived and Mummy Pig has made lunch for everyone. Gobble gobble, delicious, everyone cries. Burp, burps Peppa. Excuse me. It's stopped raining, says Mummy Pig. Let's take the leftover bread and feed the ducks. Squeak, squeak, queers Rebecca Rabbit. Shall we give them carrots? Rebecca Rabbit likes carrots. I think the ducks would prefer bread, smiles Mummy Pig. Says George, jumping up and down. Peppa, George, says Mummy Pig, let Daddy put on your rain boots first. Yes, George, says Peppa. If you jump in muddy puddles, you must wear your boots. We're going to see the ducks. We're going to see the ducks, sings Peppa. George, Susie, Rebecca and Richard all join in very loudly. Ho ho, laughs Daddy Pig. What a lovely song, but you don't have to sing it quite so loudly. Hello, Mrs. Duck, cries Peppa, throwing some crumbs. I hope you're hungry. It's Richard Rabbit's first time feeding the ducks, and he's a bit scared. Don't be scared, Richard, says Peppa. They won't hurt you. Watch me. Peppa shows Richard how to feed the ducks. Wah, 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 shouts Richard. Dinosaur, shouts George. Silly George, laughs Peppa. You always say dinosaur for everything. Why don't you find some muddy puddles to jump in, says Mummy Pig. Yippee! Peppa shouts. Splish splash. Everyone is having a wonderful noisy time jumping and splashing. Here is Danny Dog and his mummy. Danny jumps in a great big puddle. Squelch! Oops! He splashed Daddy Pig's glasses. Oh dear, says Peppa. Now Daddy will be grumpy. I am not grumpy, snorts Daddy Pig. How about a nice quiet game of hide and seek, suggests Mummy Pig. Yippee, shouts Peppa. I'm brilliant at seeking. Everyone hides while Peppa covers her eyes and counts to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. George isn't very good at hiding. He stands by a tree with his eyes closed. Peppa thinks this is very funny and decides to surprise him. Very quietly, she creeps up behind him. Grunts Peppa loudly. Oh dear! George is very surprised and drops Mr. Dinosaur into a muddy puddle. George starts to cry. Peppa, have you been teasing George? Says Mummy Pig. Sorry, George, says Peppa. All the parents have come to collect the children. It is time to go home. Goodbye, everyone, cheers Peppa. Everybody waves goodbye. Ho ho, chuckles Daddy Pig. Peace at last. It's time for Peppa and George to go to bed. First, they brush their teeth. Scrub, scrub. Now let's have a nice, quiet bedtime story, says Mummy Pig. What shall we read? Asked Daddy Pig. Can we have one all about music? Peppa asks. I love music. Daddy Pig begins the bedtime story. It's about two very noisy piggies playing very noisy musical instruments. Peppa, George, and even Mr. Dinosaur join in all the actions. Roar, roar, growls George. Laughs Peppa. Peppa and George are a little bit sleepy. George starts to fall asleep first. That wasn't a very quiet day, giggles Peppa, yawning. No, it was a very noisy day, Peppa, replies Daddy Pig, smiling. But Peppa is already fast asleep. The end. Peppa Pig, Pirate Island. I'm Peppa Pig. This is my little brother George, and this is the story of the day we went to Pirate Island. Grandpa and Granny Pig took Peppa and her friends for a busy day out on Grandpa's boat. All aboard, said Grandpa Pig. Is everyone wearing their life jackets? Then off we go. George, you can have my pirate hat, said Grandpa Pig. Today we are sailing to Pirate Island, and if we are lucky, we might find buried treasure. Everyone was very excited. The boat landed on a sandy beach. Everyone climbed to the top of the island. Grandpa Pig planted a flag and said, "This is Pirate Island. Now let's look for buried treasure." Grandpa took a strange machine out of his bag. "What's that?" asked Susie Sheep. "It is a metal detector," said Grandpa Pig. "It finds buried treasure." He waved it over the ground and suddenly it started to beep. "Buried treasure!" cried Grandpa. "Let's dig it up." "Here's something," said Danny Dog. "It's a shiny coin. Maybe it's pirate treasure," said Grandpa. Everyone gathered round to look. Grandpa waved the metal detector over a new patch of sand and it beeped again. "This sounds very big," said Grandpa. Everyone dug and Grandpa pulled and pulled at the heavy object until suddenly it came free. "That's not buried treasure," said Grandpa Pig. "It's a rusty old shopping trolley." "Oh dear," laughed Granny Pig. "Maybe that's enough treasure hunting. Who wants to go to the rocky beach?" Everyone wanted to go to the rocky beach. "I'll go and check on the boat," said Grandpa Pig. Granny Pig and the children went off, leaving Grandpa Pig to do important boat things. It was a warm and sunny day on the boat deck. "Ah, this is nice," said Grandpa Pig. "Maybe I'll just close my eyes for a little bit." Granny Pig showed the children the rocky beach. "When the sea goes out, it leaves little pools of water in amongst the rocks, and every rock pool there's something special that the sea has left behind." Peppa looked in a pool. "Ooh, I can see something glittering. It's a shiny coin." "Maybe it's more pirate treasure," said Granny Pig. "And here's a seashell," said Peppa. "If you put a seashell to your ear, you can hear the sound of the sea," said Granny Pig. Peppa listened. "Wow, I can hear the sea." George had found something hiding at the bottom of the pool. "Why, it's a crab," said Granny Pig. "Ouch! The crab has pinched Granny Pig's finger," said Peppa. "Naughty Mr. Crab. Oh, look, Mr. Crab is walking sideways." George was walking sideways too, pretending to be a naughty pinching crab. "Let's all be crabs," said Peppa. Everyone played at being naughty pinching crabs. "Time to go home now," said Granny Pig. They all went back to the sandy beach. "Where's the boat gone?" said Granny Pig. "Look," said Peppa. There was the boat drifting out to sea, with Grandpa Pig fast asleep on the deck. "We have to wake Grandpa Pig up," said Granny Pig. "Shout as loudly as you can." Everybody shouted, but Grandpa Pig didn't wake up. "He's too far away to hear us," said Granny Pig. "We're stuck on Pirate Island forever," said Susie Sheep. "We're castaways. We'll have to eat insects and slugs," said Danny Dog. The boat floated across the sea, with Grandpa Pig sleeping peacefully. It drifted all the way back to the shore, where the parents were waiting to collect the children. "Hello, Grandpa Pig," said the parents. Grandpa Pig woke up with a start. Hello, everyone. I've just left something behind. I'll be back in a tick." And Grandpa Pig turned the boat round and set off for Pirate Island as fast as he could go. "There's Grandpa Pig," cried Peppa. "He's come to rescue us." "Welcome aboard, me hearties," said Grandpa Pig, and everyone got back on the boat. "Naughty Grandpa Pig," said Granny Pig. "We thought you'd left us behind." "Sorry about that," said Grandpa Pig. "Next time I promise not to fall asleep." "So we can visit Pirate Island again, Grandpa?" asked Peppa. "Of course we can, Peppa. I love Pirate Island," said Peppa. "What an exciting adventure we have all had today," laughed Granny Pig. "Goodbye until next time, me hearties."
Peppa Pig. Beep, beep, broom.
George's Noisy Vehicle Book. Peppa and her family are going for a picnic in the countryside.
Hooray!
Cries Peppa.
I love picnics.
George loves picnics too. But he wants to stay at home and play with his toys. Cheer up, George. We'll have a lovely day, says Daddy Pig, beeping his horn.
Beep, beep.
Giggles George. He likes their noisy red car. Off they drive down the hill. But what's that noise? It's Mr. Zebra's post van.
Wow!
We're stuck in a traffic jam, says Mr. Zebra. Oh dear, says Daddy Pig. This isn't a good start.
Honk honk.
Laughs George. At last they're on the move. But what's that noise? It's Mr. Bull's digger. Moo! You'll have to wait, bellows Mr. Bull. We're digging up the road. Not another delay, cries Mummy Pig. Dig, 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 laughs George. At last, Mr. Bull has finished and off they go.
Hooray!
But what's that noise? It's a fire engine.
Wow!
You'll have to wait while I put out the fire, shouts Mrs. Sheep.
Nina.
Cries George, bouncing up and down on the back seat. At last the fire is put out, and off they go.
Hooray!
But what's that noise? It's a train. Daddy Pig has to stop while the train whizzes past.
Kiki.
Laughs George.
Can we go home for our picnic?
Asks Peppa. What a good idea, says Mummy Pig. But George doesn't want to go home. He's loved seeing all the noisy vehicles.
Cheer up, George,
says Peppa.
you'll be able to play with all your noisy toys.
And he does. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's pen pal. Peppa and her friends are at playgroup. Who would like a pen pal? Says Madame Gazelle.
What is a pen pal?
Asks Peppa. A pen pal is someone you can write letters to, says Madame Gazelle. Everybody cheers. They would all like a pen pal. Madame Gazelle shows Peppa a picture of a little girl who lives in France.
Wow!
Her name is Delphine Donkey.
Can Delphine be my pen pal?
Asks Peppa. Of course, Peppa, replies Madame Gazelle.
Hooray!
One morning, Peppa receives a letter from Delphine. It is in French.
I want to speak French to Delphine,
says Peppa. Delphine's phone number is on the letter, so Peppa calls her. Mummy Pig tells Peppa that bonjour means hello in French.
Bonjour,
says Peppa.
bonjour, Peppa,
Replies Delphine.
bye,
Says Peppa. Au revoir, whispers Mummy Pig.
au revoir,
Says Peppa. The next week, Peppa is disappointed because there is no letter from Delphine. Sorry, Peppa, says Daddy Pig. Just then, the doorbell rings. I wonder who that could be, says Mummy Pig.
Bonjour, I have come to see Peppa.
It's Delphine.
Bonjour,
Squeals Peppa. Delphine introduces Peppa to her family. Hey ho, bonjour, says Madame and Monsieur Donkey. Delphine has a little brother. His name is Didier.
Wow!
dinosaur,
Says George. Kraken! Replies Didier.
Delphine, we could jump up and down in muddy puddles,
Suggests Peppa. But Delphine does not understand Peppa. Oh no! J'adore sauter dans le flax de boue, says Delphine. But Peppa does not understand Delphine. Oh no!
Everything is so different in French,
says Peppa. Delphine holds Peppa's hand. Peppa runs along with her. It looks like they're running towards a big muddy puddle. J'adore sauter dans la flaque de boue, says Delphine again. Delphine jumps right into the muddy puddle.
That's what I was going to show you,
Cries Peppa, joining in. Peppa and Delphine had been saying the same thing all along.
Wow.
We call it jumping up and down in muddy puddles,
explains Peppa.
J'adore jumping up and down in muddy puddles,
says Delphine, laughing. Everyone loves jumping up and down in muddy puddles. The end. Peppa Pig Peppa learns French. The phone rings at Peppa's house. It is Monsieur Donkey. He is speaking French. Luckily, Mummy Pig can speak French.
Wow.
He asked if little Delphine Donkey could visit us, says Mummy Pig. Delphine is Peppa's pen pal. Peppa and her family arrive at the railway station.
That's Delphine's train,
says Peppa excitedly. Last stop, all change terminus, to Le Monde descend, shouts Miss Rabbit, the train driver. Delphine gets off the train. Monsieur Donkey gets off too. He is carrying an enormous case.
Hello, Delphine,
says Peppa.
Bonjour, Peppa,
says Delphine Donkey. Peppa, bonjour means hello in French, says Mummy Pig. Monsieur Donkey drops the enormous case on the ground. Bonjour, Monsieur Donkey, says Daddy Pig. My goodness, is that huge case Delphine's?
Yes, Delphine has brought a few little things for her visit,
says Monsieur Donkey.
Things you do not have over here. Cheese, bread, tomatoes.
Monsieur Donkey loads the huge case on top of Peppa's car. It is very heavy.
Au revoir, Delphine. I will be back to pick you up tomorrow night,
says Monsieur Donkey.
Au revoir, Papa,
says Delphine. Peppa, au revoir means goodbye in French, explains Mummy Pig.
Wow.
After dinner, it's time to go to bed. Peppa and Delphine want to share a bed. Good night, little ones, says Daddy Pig. Dormez bien, whispers Mummy Pig. Peppa, dormez bien means sleep well in French. Peppa and Delphine can't sleep.
I'm not sleepy at all,
says Peppa.
Let's sing a little song to make us sleepy,
says Delphine.
Frère Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous, sonne les matines, ding dang dong,
sings Delphine. Delphine's French song has sent Peppa and George to sleep. The next day, Delphine visits Peppa's playground.
Madame Gazelle, this is my French friend Delphine,
says Peppa.
She sang a French song last night. Can we teach her an English song?
How about the Bing Bong song? Suggests Danny Dog. Madame Gazelle plays her guitar. Oh, we're playing a tune, and we're singing a song with a bing and a bong and a bing. Bong, bing, boo, bing, bong, bing, bing, bong, bingly, bongly, boo, sings Madame Gazelle. Bong, bing, boo, bing, bong, bing, bing, bong, bingly, bungly, boo, sing the children. Delphine has learned lots of new English words. Bing, bong, bingly, bungly, and boo. The end. Peppa Pig, Delphine Donkey. This is Peppa's friend, Delphine Donkey.
Hooray!
Delphine lives in France.
Wow!
Peppa speaks English. Delphine speaks French. Hello, says Peppa. Bonjour, says Delphine. Delphine lives in a city called Paris. Peppa and her family like to go and visit. Sometimes we travel on a train, says Peppa. And sometimes we travel on a boat. Peppa and Delphine love exploring Paris together. They go to parks, jump in puddles and visit cafes.
Wow!
Would you like a croissant? asked Delphine. Says Peppa. Yes, please. In the holidays, Delphine comes to stay at Peppa's house. They sleep at each end of Peppa's bunk bed. I like sharing with you, says Delphine. Peppa has lots of fun with her friend Delphine. They don't see each other very often. But that makes it extra special when they do.
Hooray!
Peppa loves Delphine Donkey. Everyone loves Delphine Donkey. The end. Peppa Pig New Shoes. Peppa and George have been playing in the garden. Now it is time to come inside. Peppa, says Daddy Pig, where are your shoes? Oh no, gasped Peppa. I've lost them. Peppa runs back out to the garden. She can't find her shoes anywhere. They really are lost, she cries. Don't worry, Peppa, snorts Daddy Pig. Your shoes were getting a bit old. We'll buy you a new pair, says Mummy Pig. Mummy Pig and Peppa go to Miss Rabbit's shoe shop. Mummy, asks Peppa, can my new shoes be red? Of course they can, replies Mummy Pig. Hello, says Mummy Pig. We would like to buy some new shoes for Peppa. Red ones, shouts Peppa, please. Miss Rabbit nods, then lifts down a box from the shelf. Miss Rabbit opens the box. Here we are, she says. Red ones. Peppa tries the shoes on. They feel just right. New red shoes, she giggles. As soon as Peppa gets home, she rushes into the living room. Daddy, Daddy, she shouts, look at my new shoes, they are red. I say, says Daddy Pig, they are very smart. Do you like my new shoes? Peppa asked George. George likes Peppa's new shoes. Everyone likes Peppa's new shoes. Peppa likes to wear her shoes so much she doesn't want to take them off, ever. She even wants to wear them in the bath. Peppa giggles as she plays in the bubbles. Peppa and George get into their pyjamas. They start to brush their teeth. Are you sure you don't want to take your shoes off now? Says Mummy Pig.
No, thank you, says Peppa. I'm even going to wear them in bed.
In the morning, Mummy Pig, Daddy Pig, and George put on their boots. They want to jump in muddy puddles. Peppa frowns.
Oh,
She is still wearing her new red shoes. Peppa runs inside and comes back out wearing her boots. Now she can have fun without getting mud on her new red shoes.
if you want to jump in muddy puddles, she says, you must wear your boots.
The end. Peppa Pig Peppa plays football. It is a sunny day and Peppa Pig and Susie Sheep are playing tennis.
To you, Susie.
Cheers Peppa, hitting the ball. Now it is Susie's turn.
To you, Peppa.
She cries, hitting the ball. Straight over Peppa's head. Oh dear. George feels a bit left out.
Sorry, George,
Says Peppa.
you can't play tennis. We only have 2 rackets. George can be the ball boy.
Cheers Susie.
Being a ball boy is a very important job, George.
Says Peppa. Peppa and Susie are having lots of fun, but they keep missing the ball.
Ball boy!
They shout together. George is not having fun. He keeps running to get the ball, and he is very tired.
Hello, everyone.
Cries Peppa when her friends arrive.
We're playing tennis. Can we play too?
Asks Danny Dog.
There aren't enough rackets.
Replies Susie Sheep.
Let's play football then.
Says Danny Dog.
Football, hooray!
Everyone cheers.
We can play girls against boys.
Says Peppa.
Each team needs a goalkeeper.
Says Danny Dog.
Me!
Shouts Pedro Pony.
Me!
Cries Rebecca Rabbit. Pedro Pony and Rebecca Rabbit decide to be the goalkeepers.
The boys' team will start.
Says Danny Dog. Richard Rabbit gets the ball and runs very fast right by Peppa, Susie Sheep and Candy Cat and straight up to the goal! Cry Danny and Pedro together as Richard Rabbit kicks the ball straight past Rebecca Rabbit and into the net.
The boy is a winner!
Cheers Danny Dog.
That's not fair. We weren't ready.
Moans Peppa. Rebecca Rabbit picks up the ball and runs.
Hey!
Shouts Danny Dog.
That's cheating. You can't hold the ball. Yes, I can.
Says Rebecca.
I'm the goalkeeper.
Rebecca throws the ball into the goal straight past Pedro Pony.
Goal!
She cries.
That goal is not allowed.
Says Pedro.
Yes, it is.
Says Peppa.
No, it isn't.
Barks Danny Dog. What a lot of noise, snorts Daddy Pig. I'll be the referee. The next team to get a goal will win the game. Richard Rabbit and George run off with the football while everyone is still talking.
Where's the ball?
Asks Peppa. But it's too late. Richard Rabbit kicks the ball straight into the goal past Pedro Pony.
Hooray! The boys win!
Says Danny.
Football is a silly game,
cries Peppa, disappointed. Just a moment, says Daddy Pig. The boys scored in their own goal. That means the girls win.
Really?
Gasps all the girls.
Hooray! Football is a great game,
Cheers, Peppa. Everyone laughs. Recorders. Peppa and her friends are at playgroup.
Morning, children,
Says Madame Gazelle.
Today we are going to play the recorder.
Ooh, gasp the children, listening as Madame Gazelle plays a tune. Madame Gazelle hands a recorder to each of the children.
Now, does anyone know how to play music on the recorder?
She asks.
You blow it like this,
Cries Peppa.
That is not music, Peppa,
Says Madame Gazelle.
that is a horrible noise. To make music, we must play in a way that sounds not horrible,
Suggests Danny Dog.
Yes, Danny,
Says Madame Gazelle. Madame Gazelle tries to teach the children how to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star on the recorder.
Cover these little holes with your fingertips and blow.
She says. The children play on the recorders. It's time for the children's parents to pick them up from playgroup.
Remember, the most important thing when learning to play a musical instrument,
Says Madame Gazelle.
is lots and lots of practice. Goodbye, Madame Gazelle.
Everyone calls. Sounds like someone is learning to play the recorder, says Daddy Pig.
It's me, cries Peppa. Madame Gazelle said I have to practice lots.
Oh, says Mummy Pig.
Daddy Pig will help you while I do some work in another room.
Susie Sheep is practicing the recorder at her house too.
La la la,
Sings Mummy Sheep.
yes, that's it, Susie. Keep going.
Danny is also practicing. Very good, Danny, says Captain Dog. How about we go out on my boat now?
No,
Replies Danny.
I have to keep trying until I get it right.
Of course, says Captain Dog. Peppa and her friends have been practicing their recorders all week, and now it's time to do a concert for the parents.
Welcome to our concert, parents,
Says Madame Gazelle.
Ready, children?
The children play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star together on their recorders. It is a very noisy concert. At the end of the concert, the parents give the children a big round of applause.
Haven't the children worked hard?
Says Madame Gazelle. Yes, replies Daddy Pig, and now it's over. It's strange to think it was only for a week of our lives.
I want you to learn this next tune,
Says Madame Gazelle. She plays Mary Had a Little Lamb on her recorder. The children try to copy her.
Remember, go home and practice Practice, practice, says Madame Gazelle.
Peppa loves the recorder. Everyone loves the recorder. First words with Peppa Pig. Level 2. The best pet. Meet Peppa, Susie Sheep, Zoe Zebra, Pedro Pony, and Dr. Hamster. Learn are, brown, but, good, he, like, pretty, saw, say, she, this, what, who. Read toy monkey, tortoise, stick insect.
Wow.
Peppa has a pet fish.
I like the fish. She is a good fish,
Says Susie Sheep.
She is a pretty fish, Susie. She is the best pet,
Said Peppa. Pedro Pony has a pet stick insect.
Wow.
The stick insect is long and brown.
What a pretty pet,
Said Pedro.
He is the best pet.
Hooray!
Dr. Hamster will say who the best pets are.
I like all of the pets. All the pets are pretty,
Said Dr. Hamster.
but now I will say who the best pet is.
Dr. Hamster saw Peppa's pet.
What is this pet, Peppa?
Said Dr. Hamster.
She's a fish,
Said Peppa.
Will she win best pet? I like the pretty fish, but I will say who the best pet is soon,
Said Dr. Hamster. Dr. Hamster saw Pedro's pet.
What is this pet, Pedro?
Said Dr. Hamster.
He is a stick insect.
Said Pedro.
He is long and brown. Will he win best pet? This is a good pet, but I will say who the best pet is soon,
Said Dr. Hamster. Dr. Hamster saw Zoe's pet.
What is this pet, Zoe?
Said Dr. Hamster.
He is a monkey.
Said Zoe.
He is a brown toy monkey. Will he win best pet? I like this pretty pet, but I will say who the best pet is soon,
Said Dr. Hamster. Dr. Hamster saw all of the pets.
Who is the best pet? I like all of the pets that I saw, but the best pet is my pet tortoise,
Said Dr. Hamster.
and Peppa's fish is the best fish. She is a pretty fish,
Said Dr. Hamster.
What a good fish,
Said Peppa and Susie.
we like her. Zoe's monkey is the best brown toy monkey.
Said Dr. Hamster.
What a good monkey, said Zoe. I like this brown monkey a lot. Pedro's stick insect is the best stick insect. What a pretty brown pet,
Said Dr. Hamster.
what a good stick insect,
Said Pedro.
I like him a lot.
All of the pets are good pets. All of the pets are the best pets. The end. Peppa Pig. Piggy in the middle. When the sun is shining, it's time to play outside. There is lots to do outside. Daddy Pig likes playing bat and ball. Peppa and Mummy Pig like playing Piggy in the middle.
Wow.
catch, George. And George likes riding up and down on horsey Twinkletoes. Sometimes Peppa plays outside with her friends. Candy Cat,
Meow.
Zoe Zebra, Emily Elephant, Pedro Pony, Danny Dog, and Susie Sheep. Everyone loves playing outside. The end. Read it yourself with Peppa Pig playing football. Peppa Pig and Susie Sheep are playing tennis.
To you, Peppa,
Says Susie.
to you, Susie.
Says Peppa. George wants to play tennis too.
You can't play tennis, George,
Says Peppa.
but you can be the ball boy. You have to get the ball for me and Susie.
Peppa and Susie love playing tennis.
Ball boy,
Says Peppa. George has to get the ball, so he runs and runs. George does not love tennis. Peppa's friends are here. They want to play too.
we can play football.
Says Danny Dog.
Hooray!
Everyone cheers. Everyone loves football. The friends get into teams. They have a boys' team and a girls' team. Pedro Pony is in goal for the boys, and Rebecca Rabbit is in goal for the girls. Richard Rabbit gets the ball. He runs and runs. He kicks the ball past Peppa and Susie Sheep.
Wow.
Then Richard kicks the ball past Rebecca and into the net. Go! Says Danny Dog. Hooray! Cheered the boys. Rebecca Rabbit gets the ball. She runs past Pedro Pony. Next, she throws the ball into the net.
Go to me,
Says Rebecca.
it's not fair.
Says Pedro.
Rebecca does not get a goal.
Says Danny.
You can't throw the ball in.
Daddy Pig is here. I will help you, he says. The next team to get a goal will be the winners. Richard Rabbit has the ball. He runs and runs. Then he kicks it into Pedro's net.
Go, the boys win.
Cheers, Danny Dog.
It's not fair.
Says Peppa. But the ball went into the boys' own net, says Daddy. So it's an own goal. The girls cheer.
Hooray, it is fair.
Says Peppa.
We win.
Everyone loves football. The end. Read it yourself with Peppa Pig. Camping trip. Peppa, George, Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig are going on holiday.
Look,
Says Peppa.
here's Daddy.
Hooray, says Mummy. And look, he has a camper van. They all jump in the camper van. Off we go, says Daddy.
We're going on a holiday,
Sings Peppa.
we are going on a holiday in a camper van.
But Daddy Pig is lost. Along comes Grandad Dog.
Can you help us? Asked Peppa. We are lost.
Have you looked at your sat-nav? Asked Grandad Dog. What is a sat-nav? Asked Daddy Pig. A sat-nav helps you find your way, says Grandad Dog.
Wow.
He looks in the camper van and finds a sat-nav for Daddy. The sat-nav tells Daddy the way to go.
We're going on a holiday, sings Peppa. We're going on a holiday in our camper van.
But the camper van is out of oil. Daddy Pig looks for the engine, but he cannot find it. Along comes Mummy Sheep.
Can you help us?
Asked Peppa.
We cannot find our engine.
Mummy Sheep finds the engine in the back of the camper van. Daddy Pig puts oil in the engine and off they go.
Look,
Says Mummy Pig. We are here.
hooray!
Says Peppa. Time for bed, says Mummy Pig.
But what about our beds?
Asked Peppa.
Our beds are back at home.
Just look here, Daddy Pig tells Peppa, and he presses a big button. Out comes a big bed for Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig.
Wow.
Daddy Pig presses a little button. And here are your beds, he says. This time, 2 little beds come out for Peppa and George. George and Peppa jump into the little beds.
I like this camper van,
Says Peppa.
it is just like home.
Good night, says the sat-nav.
Good night.
Says Peppa. The end. Peppa to the rescue. Peppa and George are at the fire station.
Hello, Peppa and George.
Says Miss Rabbit. Sometimes Mummy Pig helps at the fire station.
Wow.
When there is an emergency, I slide down this pole, Mummy Pig says.
Wow.
Can we get in the fire engine, Mummy?
Asked Peppa. Yes, but be careful, says Mummy Pig. Miss Rabbit's phone rings. There's an emergency at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house.
Buckle up, Peppa and George,
Cries Mummy Pig. It's time to go. The fire engine rushes to Granny and Grandpa Pig's house. Police Officer Panda is already there. What's the emergency? Asked Mummy Pig.
Grandpa Pig's model aeroplane is stuck on the roof,
Says Granny Pig. Can you climb up the ladder and fetch it? Asked Police Officer Panda.
Oh no!
Granny Pig frowns. The ladder isn't tall enough to reach the aeroplane. Peppa has an idea.
Use the hose instead.
Mummy Pig squirts a jet of water up at the roof. It pushes the aeroplane safely down to the ground.
Wow.
Hooray!
Shouts Grandpa Pig.
Peppa to the rescue.
The end. Peppa at the petting farm. Peppa, George and Rebecca Rabbit are going to visit a petting farm.
Mummy,
Says Peppa.
what can we do there?
You can feed and stroke tiny little animals, replies Mummy Pig. Ooh, gasped Rebecca.
I love tiny little animals.
Mrs. Badger is the farmer who looks after the tiny little animals.
Wow.
Before we see them, she says, there is one thing we have to do.
Wash our hands,
say Peppa and Rebecca. That's right, says Mrs. Badger. The children go to see the chickens first. Would you like to feed them? asks Mrs. Badger. Peppa, George and Rebecca each take a bag of birdseed.
here, chicky chick,
calls Peppa. Next, Mrs. Badger has a surprise for everyone.
Now, she says, who wants to hold a baby chick?
Me, 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 shout the children. Peppa giggles. The chicks are so fluffy and sweet. Soon it's time for the children to wash their hands again and go to see some other animals.
These are guinea pigs,
says Mrs. Badger.
Ooh, cries Rebecca, look at their cute faces. And their fluffy little bodies,
says Peppa.
Guinea pigs make excellent pets,
says Mrs. Badger.
Can we have a pet guinea pig?
asks Peppa.
Please.
Daddy Pig frowns at Mummy Pig. Look at the time, he says. We have to be getting home. Mummy Rabbit comes to collect Rebecca. She has brought the baby twins, Rosie and Robbie.
Baby rabbits are so cute,
says Peppa.
Please, can we cuddle them?
Mummy Rabbit nods. There is just one thing to do first. Now Peppa and Rebecca's hands are clean. They can cuddle the twins.
Have you had a nice time today?
asks Mummy Rabbit.
Yes, laughs Peppa. We've had lots of cuddles.
Peppa loves a petting farm. Everyone loves a petting farm. The end. Peppa loves. Peppa loves her best friend, Susie Sheep.
I wish my tail was soft and fluffy like yours,
says Peppa.
I like your tail, Peppa,
giggles Susie.
It's cute and curly.
Peppa loves dressing up.
Wow.
Look at me,
cries Peppa.
I'm a dancing fairy princess. Oh, your wings are really shimmery and shiny,
says Nurse Susie. Peppa loves her golden boots. If you jump in muddy puddles, you must wear your boots, laughed Daddy Pig.
My golden boots sparkle and glitter,
says Peppa proudly.
I'm going to make the biggest splash ever.
Peppa loves bath time.
Quack, quack,
cries Peppa.
Little duck, your wings are so smooth and bright. Quack, quack,
giggles George.
Splash.
Bonk, bonk. Peppa loves her teddy. Time to go to sleep, Peppa and George, whispers Mummy Pig.
Good night, Teddy,
sighs Peppa.
You're so cuddly and furry. Night, night.
The end. Peppa's Australian Underwater Adventure. Peppa was very excited. She had just won a Great Barrier Reef art competition at the aquarium.
Congrats, Peppa, said Miss Rabbit. Your prize is to join me on a marine biology trip to Australia.
Wow.
Hooray, cheered Peppa. What's marine biology? It's learning about the plants and animals that live in the sea, explained Miss Rabbit. Ooh, said Peppa. We're going to stay with Mrs. Kangaroo, continued Miss Rabbit. She will teach us how to scuba dive in the Great Barrier Reef. What an amazing prize for a competition, said Mummy Pig, a bit surprised. Well, Peppa's drawing was very imaginative, said Miss Rabbit. Her picture wasn't exactly like any fish I have ever seen, but it was a prize-winning picture. I see, said Mummy Pig. There's nothing wrong with a bit of imagination, is there? Of course, you, Daddy Pig and George will be coming to Australia too, Miss Rabbit told Mummy Pig. How lovely, replied Mummy Pig. Thank you, Mrs. Rabbit. Peppa and her family are very excited to be seeing their friends in Australia again.
Hooray!
We'll be leaving first thing tomorrow, said Miss Rabbit. Right then, said Mummy Pig. We'd better head to the shops and get everything we need for the trip. Peppa, George, Mummy and Daddy Pig headed to Mr. Fox's shop and told him what they needed. Mr. Fox got everything out. Now, he said, I think you'll also need some paper and colouring pens. You never know when they might come in handy. I'm not sure we do, began Mummy Pig. Trust me, Mummy Pig, Mr. Fox interrupted. You'll definitely need these. Oh, okay then, said Mummy Pig. Thank you for your help, Mr. Fox. We must get going now so we can pack all of this. The next morning, Peppa and her family woke up very early and hopped on the aeroplane to Australia. Where's Miss Rabbit? Asked Daddy Pig. I think she's finding her own way there, replied Mummy Pig. While Peppa, George, Mummy and Daddy Pig flew on an aeroplane, Miss Rabbit travelled to Australia by hot air balloon, helicopter, and boat. Ahoy there! Amazingly, Miss Rabbit arrived in Australia at the exact same time as Peppa and her family. Welcome to Australia, everyone, said Miss Kangaroo. It's so good to see you, said Kylie Kangaroo, giving Peppa a big hug. After they were settled in, Mrs. Kangaroo went through the diving plan with Kylie, Peppa and Miss Rabbit. There are so many amazing creatures to discover in the Great Barrier Reef, she explained. It's an incredible place. Mrs. Kangaroo taught Peppa about diving and marine biology.
Wow.
What does buddy up mean? Asked Peppa. It means we are going to dive in a group, explained Miss Kangaroo. She held up a list of creatures they were going to see and count on their underwater adventure. Green sea turtles, orange clownfish, blue starfish, pink sea anemones, and even whales. Wow! Gasped Peppa. She was so excited. Mrs. Kangaroo drove everyone to the boat. Then they hopped on board with their diving gear and headed out to the diving site. When the boat stopped, Mrs. Kangaroo gave Peppa and Kylie a special underwater list each.
It's important that we count the marine life carefully, she said. If you spot anything unusual, let me know. Then Peppa, Miss Rabbit, Kylie and Mrs. Kangaroo jumped backwards off the boat. They dived deep down under the water to the reef. The divers saw lots of amazing plants and animals on the reef. They spotted 5 orange clownfish, 4 pink sea anemones, 3 brilliant blue starfish, 2 big green turtles, and 1 enormous whale.
Wow,
said Peppa.
it's so colourful down here.
Peppa and Miss Rabbit followed the whale further into the reef. Peppa used her diving fins to swim as fast as she could to keep up, and Miss Rabbit paddled along behind her. The whale pointed its fin at a big rock. Peppa peered behind the rock and saw a fish that wasn't on Mrs. Kangaroo's list, poking its head out.
That looks just like the fish I coloured in,
said Peppa. At the end of the dive, everyone climbed back on board the boat.
We counted so many creatures,
said Peppa excitedly.
It was amazing. I also spotted a beautiful fish that wasn't on your list, Miss Kangaroo. What did it look like, Peppa?
asked Kylie.
It looked a bit like a clownfish, said Peppa, but not exactly.
Said Mrs. Kangaroo. Can you describe it a bit more, Peppa? Peppa used the colouring pens from Mr. Fox's shop to draw the fish she had seen. It looked just like her picture from the aquarium.
Wow, that's a lovely fish, Peppa,
said Kylie. Peppa is very good at drawing, said Miss Rabbit. I don't believe it, gasped Mrs. Kangaroo when she saw Peppa's drawing. It looks just like a rare blue clownfish.
Wow.
That hasn't been seen for a while now. Where did you spot it, Peppa? Peppa took everyone back to where she had seen the unusual fish. Mrs. Kangaroo had been searching for the blue clownfish for a long time. Peppa spotted the whale winking at her in the distance.
Thank you for showing us the fish, lovely whale,
Peppa said, winking back. After Mrs. Kangaroo had taken lots of photographs of the fish, she signalled for everyone to swim up to the boat and head back to the shore. That afternoon, Mrs. Kangaroo and her family cooked a big meal to celebrate Peppa's amazing discovery. What do you think of the Great Barrier Reef, Peppa? asked Daddy Pig.
It's the most brilliant place ever, replied Peppa. The fish are just like I imagined they would be.
She held up her picture from the art competition. It looked exactly like the fish she had seen on her dive. Everyone laughed. Peppa loves the beautiful Great Barrier Reef. Everyone loves the beautiful Great Barrier Reef. The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.